A Jedi Master named Qui-Gon Jinn and his apprentice Obi-Wan Kenobi are given orders to discuss a trade dispute with the Galactic Trade Federation. However, things go haywire and both Jedi are forced to flee the Trade Federation ship, and they land on a nearby planet of Naboo. Qui-Gon makes the biggest mistake in the entire franchise and accidentally saves a Gungan named Jar Jar Binks. And some other boring stuff happens, so we'll just kind of skip that. So Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, and Jar Jar head to the capital of Naboo, a city called Theed. The Jedi soon realize the Trade Federation launched an assault on Naboo, and they step in to save the Queen. However, the Queen turns out to be a 14-year-old girl named Padme Amidala. So together, Qui-Gon, Obi-Wan, Padme, Jar Jar, and a droid named R2-D2 escape the Naboo invasion in order to warn the Republic. However, their hyperdrive is damaged and they are forced to land on the desert planet of Tatooine. Obi-Wan stays in the ship because of reasons, and Qui-Gon, Padme, and Jar Jar head to the nearest town to find a new hyperdrive. However, they meet a young slave boy named Anakin Skywalker. Anakin soon forms a bond with his new friends, and Qui-Gon learns that Anakin doesn't have a father, for he is essentially Space Jesus. So Qui-Gon makes a deal with Watto, that if Anakin is able to win the pod race, Qui-Gon gets not only a new hyperdrive, but he also gets to take Anakin with him. Anakin wins the pod race and leaves with Qui-Gon. But before he does, he gives his mother one last hug goodbye, promising he would be back one day to free her from slavery. Upon Qui-Gon and Anakin's return to the ship, they are ambushed by a Sith assassin named Darth Maul. But luckily, Qui-Gon is able to hold the Sith back long enough to allow him and his ship to escape. On board the ship, Anakin Skywalker finally meets Obi-Wan Kenobi, and the beginning of their long-lasting relationship is forged. The crew then arrive on Coruscant, which is the capital planet of the Republic as well as the home base of the Jedi Order. Anakin is tested by the Jedi Council, however, he fails, and he is rejected by the Council to the dismay of Qui-Gon Jinn. Padme is coaxed by the Naboo senator named Sheev Palpatine into enacting a vote of no confidence in Chancellor Valorium. The Senate agrees and Palpatine becomes the new Chancellor. After this, Padme decides to return to Naboo and fight the Trade Federation. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are tasked by Master Yoda and the Council to go with the Queen and find the Sith assassin that attacked them before, and Anakin, being under Qui-Gon's care, tags along, and the whole crew returns to Naboo. On Naboo, Jar Jar leads a Gungan defense against the Trade Federation battle droids. Padme goes on a hunt to capture Nute Gunray, also known as the leader of the Trade Federation. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan combat Maul, and Anakin accidentally takes the Naboo ship for a test drive. Skywalker ends up blowing up the Trade Federation command ship over Naboo, causing the battle droids to die, allowing Jar Jar and his fellow Gungans to claim victory over the droids. While the Jedi are fighting Maul, Qui-Gon is stabbed through the abdomen by the Sith assassin. Luckily, Kenobi, using his Jedi training as well as a dash of luck, is able to defeat Darth Maul. With Qui-Gon's dying wish, he begs Kenobi to train Anakin. Later on, Kenobi is made into a Jedi Knight for defeating such a powerful foe, and Master Yoda gives him permission to train Anakin Skywalker. And then Naboo has a big celebration for defeating the bad guys and winning the day. Our story takes place 10 years after Episode 1. On Coruscant, an assassination attempt was made on Padme's life, but luckily, she survives. Soon after, Padme is given Jedi bodyguards in the form of Obi-Wan Kenobi and his apprentice, Anakin Skywalker. That night, the assassin strikes again. However, Obi-Wan and Anakin apprehend her. But before they can get more information from her, she is shot by a poison dart and she is killed. From there, the story progresses with Kenobi looking for where the poison dart was made, and Anakin is instructed to go back to Naboo with Padme and protect her. Kenobi eventually finds the planet of Kamino, and he learns that a clone army was being forged for the Republic to fight the upcoming separatist threat. Kenobi finds the bounty hunter Jango Fett, and discovers that he was the one who hired the assassin in the first place. Then later shot her with the poison dart so she couldn't reveal the truth to the Jedi. Obi-Wan and Jango then engage in combat. However, Jango manages to escape with his son, Boba, and Kenobi follows them off planet. Then, pretty much, Padme and Anakin fall in love on Naboo, because story, so we'll skip all that sappy stuff, and they soon head to Tatooine to find Anakin's mother. On Tatooine, they learn his mother was captured by Tusken Raiders and she dies of her injuries. So Anakin goes ballistic, killing all the Tusken Raiders, and not just the men, but the women and the children too. Later, after they bury Anakin's mother, they learn that Obi-Wan had been captured on the planet of Geonosis, so Anakin and Padme go to save him, but they fail horribly and are sentenced to death. For Obi-Wan, while captive, he is propositioned to join the Separatists by an old retired Jedi, Qui-Gon's former master, a man known as Count Dooku. But Kenobi declines the Count's offer, and he too is sentenced to death. So all 3 of our heroes are placed in the Geonosian arena to be devoured by beasts. However, the Jedi Council and a bunch of other Jedi come to help them. Mace Windu, a Jedi second to Yoda in strength, kills Jango, and many Jedi die due to the overwhelming number of battle droids. Luckily, the clone army arrives just in the nick of time, led by Master Yoda, and the few surviving Jedi manage to escape the arena. So while the clones and droids proceed to battle, Anakin and Obi-Wan go after Dooku, believing if they were to defeat him now, they could end the war before it even began. However, Skywalker and Kenobi combat the old Count. Anakin charges Dooku but underestimates his power and thus gets knocked aside. Kenobi also tries to fight Dooku, but alone he doesn't stand a chance, and he is wounded. Then Anakin starts a one-on-one with the Count, and although he is able to hold his own for a little, he is soon beaten and his arm cut off. But before they are killed, Yoda saves them and battles Dooku. After a brief but pretty cool fight, Dooku retreats, and in the end, the Clone Wars have officially begun. Anakin gets a robotic arm, and he and Padme get married. Dooku plots with his mysterious master, Darth Sidious, and Kenobi gets to keep his glorious mullet for a little longer. The story takes place 3 years after Attack of the Clones. Anakin and Obi-Wan have become 2 of the most famous Jedi to ever live. Anakin is no longer a Padawan, for he is a Jedi Knight and is regarded as one of the greatest Jedi duelists in the Order. A battle takes place over Coruscant, where we learn that Chancellor Palpatine had been kidnapped by the Separatist leaders Count Dooku and the cyborg alien known as General Grievous. Anakin and Obi-Wan arrive just in the nick of time and manage to sneak on board their ship. Anakin fights Dooku again, only this time Anakin defeats the old Count and rescues the Chancellor. Grievous escapes, and Anakin and Obi-Wan deliver Palpatine to the ground safely. At the Senate building, Anakin is approached by Padme, and she tells him she's pregnant. And Anakin is overcome with joy. Later, Anakin begins having visions of his wife dying, like he did with his mother before she died. And so, Anakin vows that he will not lose Padme the way he lost his mother. Soon after, Anakin is given a seat on the Jedi Council, however, he is not given the rank of Master, which is the first time in 1,000 years that this has ever happened, and Anakin becomes irritated by it. Then later, the Jedi Council asks Anakin to spy on the Chancellor for them, which leads to more distrust between Anakin and the Jedi. Anakin then chats with Palpatine at the opera, and the Chancellor tells Anakin a story about a Sith, known as Darth Plagueis the Wise, who could actually keep the ones he cared about from dying. And this of course piques Anakin's interest. Obi-Wan is tasked with hunting down General Grievous, and Anakin is tasked with keeping an eye on Palpatine. These 2 men, who essentially grew up together, now must part ways for one last time. Kenobi goes to the planet of Utapau, and kills Grievous in an impressive display that proves Obi-Wan is more than just his lightsaber. On Coruscant, Anakin learns that Palpatine is actually the true Sith Lord, one of the strongest to ever live, the one known as Darth Sidious. Skywalker tells Mace Windu of what he has discovered and is instructed to wait for his return. However, Anakin believes that he must make a choice. Either let Mace Windu and the other Jedi kill Palpatine and his hopes of saving Padme will be lost, or stop the Jedi and thus he can still learn the power he craves. So Anakin stops Windu from killing Palpatine, which subsequently ends with Mace Windu's death. Or at least his supposed death, because we don't truly know if he is actually dead, so yeah. So Anakin, realizing there is no turning back, joins the Sith and does what he has to do to save his wife and their unborn child. Anakin leads his clone battalions onto the Jedi Temple, killing all the Jedi in their wake. Palpatine executes Order 66, which is a secret code that turns the clones into machines almost, and they turn on their Jedi allies. And so, across the entire galaxy, hundreds of Jedi are betrayed and killed by the ones they once considered friends. After the Jedi Temple's assault, Anakin went to the lava planet of Mustafar and killed all the remaining Separatist leaders, effectively putting an end to the Clone Wars. Obi-Wan and Yoda discover Anakin's treachery, and Obi-Wan goes to face him, while Yoda goes to confront Darth Sidious. Obi-Wan sneaks onto Padme's ship and later reveals himself upon Mustafar. Anakin believes Padme brought Kenobi on purpose in order to kill him, and in anger begins to force choke Padme. Obi-Wan steps in and the 2 men begin to battle. Back on Coruscant, Yoda and Sidious fight. However, Yoda is technically defeated, but he does survive. Now back on Mustafar, Obi-Wan and Anakin have an epic clash of good versus evil. But in the end, Skywalker's arrogance gets the better of him, and he is defeated by Kenobi. Then, Obi-Wan takes Anakin's lightsaber and leaves. Later, Padme dies in childbirth, and she has a boy named Luke and a girl named Leia. Leia is adopted by Senator Bail Organa, and is brought to the planet of Alderaan. And Obi-Wan takes Luke to Tatooine to be raised by his uncle and aunt. The story takes place 19 years after Episode 3. A woman named Leia Organa is on her way to deliver plans of a massive superweapon being built by the Empire. However, an Imperial Star Destroyer catches up to her ship and the evil Darth Vader captures her. But before he does, Leia gives the super weapon plan to a droid named R2-D2. R2 and his droid companion C-3PO escape the captured ship and land on the planet of Tatooine, but they are soon captured by Jawas. The Jawas later sell the droids to a man named Owen Lars and instructs his nephew, a boy named Luke Skywalker, to clean the droids. Luke does as he's told and discovers Leia's message. In the message, she asks for a man known as Obi-Wan Kenobi. After a little bit, Luke eventually meets this Obi-Wan Kenobi, who goes by the name Ben Kenobi nowadays. Kenobi gives Luke his father's lightsaber and tells Luke about his father and how he and Obi-Wan were friends. However, Anakin was struck down by the evil Sith Lord known as Darth Vader. They soon come to find out that Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru were killed by Imperial stormtroopers, who were searching for the droids. It's then Luke decides to join the Rebel Alliance and put an end to the Empire. So Luke, Obi-Wan, R2-D2, and C-3PO head to the town of Mos Eisley. It's here they meet a smuggler named Han Solo and his Wookiee companion, Chewbacca. The crew escape from Tatooine upon Solo's ship named the Millennium Falcon, and everybody gets to know each other a little better. Also, Obi-Wan gives Luke some Jedi training. And around the same time, Leia's home planet of Alderaan is blown to smithereens, killing everyone she knew and loved on it. Luke, Obi-Wan, Han, and Chewie soon come across a small moon of sorts, but this was no mere moon. This was a massive space station called the Death Star. On board, Luke and Han pose as stormtroopers and go to find the captured Princess Leia. And Obi-Wan goes to shut down the station's tractor beam so they can make a smooth escape. So Luke and Han manage to save Leia, Obi-Wan is successful in shutting down the tractor beam, and they all head for the Millennium Falcon. However, near their exit, they are met by Darth Vader. Vader and Kenobi start to battle with their lightsabers, but Obi-Wan sacrifices himself so Luke and the others could escape. From there, our heroes head to the moon of Yavin 4, where the rebels had their main base. Luke and the others reveal the Death Star plans, and it's discovered that the superweapon had a major flaw, and thus the rebels prepare for a full assault on the massive space station. After a crazy dogfight with Imperial forces, the rebels are successful, and Luke launches 2 torpedoes at the station's exhaust port, entering the Death Star and shortly after, blowing it up. Afterwards, the rebels celebrate their victory, and Luke and Han receive medals for their courage and bravery. This story takes place 3 years after Episode 4. Luke Skywalker, Han Solo, Princess Leia have become a big part of the Rebel Alliance. On the ice planet of Hoth, Luke is nearly killed by a Yeti creature known as a Wampa, but he managed to escape its lair. Shortly after, Luke sees a vision of Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan tells Luke to seek out another Jedi Master on the planet of Dagobah, so Luke accepts his mission, keeping himself alive long enough for Han Solo to find him and save him. At the Rebels' base on Hoth, they prepare for the Imperial assault. However, Darth Vader and his forces break through the Rebels' defense, and they take the base. Luckily, Luke, Han, and Leia are able to escape. Han, Leia, Chewbacca, and C-3PO head to the city in the clouds of Bespin, known as, you guessed it, Cloud City. Luke and R2 head to the swamp planet of Dagobah, and Luke begins his Jedi training with an old Jedi Master named Yoda. Back on Bespin, Han is greeted by an old friend, Lando Calrissian. Shortly after, Lando betrays his allies and hands them over to Vader. Han Solo is frozen in carbonite and taken away by the bounty hunter known as Boba Fett. But before he's frozen, he and Leia profess their love for each other. Lando later regrets his decision to betray his friends, and frees Leia and Chewie from their captivity. They don't trust him at first, but they decide to give him a chance. After a short bit of training, Luke learns that his friends are in trouble and leaves Dagobah to the dismay of Yoda, who wants to teach Luke how to be a powerful Jedi so he can take down Vader. Luke arrives at Cloud City and confronts Vader in the very same chamber that Han Solo was frozen. Luke begins to fight Vader, but it is evident that Skywalker is far outclassed. Their fight takes them down different corridors and pathways, eventually reaching a balcony. On this balcony, Darth Vader cuts off Luke's hand, and he reveals a terrible truth. Now this is a spoiler for a massive plot point that may just be the biggest plot twist in all of cinema, so if you want to check this out, I definitely recommend watching the movies to kind of get the full effect of this, because I purposely let this fact out in the previous videos. So with that said, you have been warned. Now to continue the video, Darth Vader reveals that he is actually Luke's father. This means Anakin survived on Mustafar, and he was placed in a life support suit to keep him alive. So therefore, Anakin Skywalker, the fallen hero of the prequel trilogy, is Darth Vader. This realization that one of the most evil beings in the entire galaxy was actually Luke's father hurt him more than losing his own hand. In sorrow, Luke jumped from the balcony in order to kill himself. However, he was sucked into an exhaust pipe and survived. He was later saved by Leia and the others, and they escaped Cloud City. In the end, Vader prepares his empire, Luke gains his cybernetic arm, and Lando vows to save Han. The story begins 1 year after Episode 5. Luke, Leia, Chewbacca, and Lando track down Han Solo's location on the sand planet of Tatooine at Jabba the Hutt's palace. They attempt to rescue Han, but they are captured by Jabba. Jabba sentences them to death by Sarlacc pit, which is a massive creature that lives in the sand. Luckily, Luke manages to save his friends and they all escape with their lives, and both Boba Fett and Jabba the Hutt die. Luke then goes to talk to Master Yoda, however, Yoda succumbs to his old age and dies at the ripe age of 900. But before he dies, he tells Luke that there is another Skywalker. Luke then talks to Obi-Wan's Force Ghost, and Kenobi explains further about why Anakin turned to the dark side. He also tells Luke that the other Skywalker Yoda was referring to was Luke's twin sister, Leia Organa. Leia and Han soon find out there's a new Death Star under construction near the forest moon of Endor. They learn that on Endor there's a shield array protecting the massive superweapon, and so the rebels form their mission to destroy it. Luke, Han, and Leia go to Endor to bring the shield system down, and Lando and his co-pilot Nine Nub are given the mission to destroy the Death Star, and Darth Vader and his master Darth Sidious await an inevitable confrontation with Luke. Soon, our heroes are captured by little bear creatures known as Ewoks, but C-3PO convinces the Ewoks to set everyone free. Later on, Luke reveals to Leia that they are actually brother and sister, and the evil Darth Vader is actually their father. Darth Vader arrives on Endor, and he and Luke begin to chat as they make their way to the Emperor upon the Death Star. Vader admits that he can feel just how much more powerful Luke has become since the last time they met. Upon the Death Star, Luke finally comes face to face with the Emperor. A battle commences on Endor, and Han manages to destroy the shield array, allowing Lando to make his attack. Upon the Death Star, Luke and Vader begin to fight, only Luke isn't out to kill Vader like he was instructed to. He was there to save Vader. After a thrilling fight, Luke gains the upper hand on Vader and defeats him. Soon after, the Emperor instructs Luke to strike his father down, but Luke keeps his composure and turns against Sidious. Then, Darth Sidious, furious with Luke's decision, unleashes a fury of Force lightning, striking Luke and almost killing him. It's then Luke begins calling for his father's help, and Vader begins to awake from an evil nightmare. A nightmare that has lasted over 2 decades. A nightmare that has caused so much pain and suffering. A nightmare that nearly eradicated all the Jedi. A nightmare that Vader could finally awake from. For inside of Vader, there was a great power destroying the darkness in his heart, and that power was Anakin Skywalker. Before Darth Sidious was able to finish Luke off, Anakin took control of his body once more, and he picked up the Emperor in defiance. He then threw his former Dark Master down the reactor shaft, and Darth Sidious, the Emperor of the Galactic Empire, had finally been destroyed. However, Anakin's suit had been damaged by Sidious's lightning, and Anakin died being comforted by his son Luke. Luke then took his father's body and escaped the Death Star. Soon after, Lando and Nine Nub destroyed the new Death Star and the rebels won the war. And so, the galaxy rejoiced in the fall of the Empire. From the Naboo Palace to the Coruscant skyline, the rebels' victory was not only a win for them, but a win for the entire galaxy. Our heroes meet up again on Endor and enjoy their own celebration while Anakin becomes a Force Ghost along with Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda. And the galaxy had finally found peace once and for all. This movie takes place 30 years after Episode 6. On the desert planet of Jakku, a man named Poe Dameron and his droid companion BB-8 are given a map to find the Jedi named Luke Skywalker. However, the First Order, which are essentially the new Empire, track them down. Poe gives the map to BB-8, and shortly after, he is captured by a Darksider called Kylo Ren. Sometime later, BB-8 comes across a girl named Rey, and they become friends. Kylo interrogates Poe and discovers BB-8 has the map to Luke. Luckily, Poe is able to escape the Star Destroyer with help from a defecting First Order soldier named FN-2187, and Poe gives him the nickname Finn for short. However, their TIE fighter is shot down and Finn survives, but Poe is nowhere to be found. Finn eventually comes across Rey and BB-8, and they are forced to leave Jakku by the First Order. They stumble upon the Millennium Falcon and soon meet Han Solo and Chewbacca. Kylo Ren informs his master, named Supreme Commander Snoke, about the situation, and Snoke tells him that Rey is with Kylo's father. This is where we discover that Kylo Ren's real name is Ben Solo, and he was actually the son of Han and Leia. Han brings them to the planet of Takodana, where they meet an alien woman named Maz Kanata. Maz gives Rey a lightsaber that makes her see visions, but it wasn't just any old lightsaber, it was Anakin's lightsaber, the same lightsaber that later became Luke's. Rey refused to take the weapon and later was captured by Kylo Ren. Instead, Finn is given the lightsaber for safekeeping while the First Order sieged Maz Castle. Han, Finn, and Chewie go to the Resistance base where they are met by General Leia Organa. They soon learn that a bigger Death Star is being built called Starkiller Base, and this massive superweapon was able to destroy 5 separate Republic planets at once. And so, our heroes hatch a plan to dismantle the base. While captured, Rey uses the Force to defeat Kylo's mind-reading abilities, and she later uses her mind trick to escape captivity. Han, Finn, and Chewie go to Starkiller Base and meet up with Rey. As Han and Chewie plant explosive charges around the superweapon's weak point, Han comes face to face with his son, Kylo. But Kylo has been convinced by Snoke that the only way to achieve the power he craves is to kill his father. And so, Kylo stabs Han with his lightsaber. In anger, Chewbacca wounds Kylo with his bowcaster, but he does not have the heart to kill the boy he helped raise. In excruciating pain and anger, Kylo chases Finn and Rey. Kylo and Finn fight, however, Finn is defeated, and so Rey then wields Anakin's lightsaber and battles him. Poe leads a squad of pilots into Starkiller's weak point and destroys it, causing the entire planet to become unstable. Back with Rey, after a brief fight, Rey victors over Kylo and escapes with Chewbacca, taking Finn with them. Our heroes manage to escape the planet just as it explodes, as heroes tend to do, and they return to the Resistance base. Although our heroes are sad by Han Solo's death, the destruction of Starkiller Base was a massive victory against the First Order. They then place BB-8's map and R2-D2's map together, and they are able to discover where Luke Skywalker is. Rey and Chewbacca head off to find him, and in the end, she does. So now, Rey finally found Luke, Finn is in a coma due to his injuries, Poe is regarded as one of the best pilots in the Resistance, and the war continues to be fought another day.